Hello all, I'm here for my second presentation, and it's going to be over the invasive crazy yellow ant. So where are they found? This ant can be found on Christmas Island, which is located in the Indian Ocean. If you can see the lower right hand of the screen, there it is, a little tiny little island off near Australia. These ants must have a warm tropical climate to survive, so there's no chance of you seeing them in Illinois. And they're only on very few islands as well. Um, People don't know where they originally came from. They're actually not sure. You can find them on a lot of the little islands around here, but they don't know exactly where they came from or um, things like that. But they do know how they got to different islands, including some of them have gotten to the coast of Australia, and they've gotten there by cruise ships. They'll hop on board and take a ride across the ocean, and they'll end up on an island, and it's actually pretty crazy how fast they can be transported. So a little bit more about the crazy ant. Um, they get their name from their erratic and frantic movements. It's almost like, when a bee does their little wobble dance. It's almost the exact same. So when they're in fear and something's messing with them, they start wobbling. So it's kind of like a distraction almost mechanism as well. These ants form super colonies, which makes them invasive. So they have colonies where they're gigantic, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Um, so these ants actually, like, they're not competitors with each other in the colonies. They actually like joining together to make more. So they'll have like 5 to 10 queens in a colony. So then there's so many more workers. They all combine, which makes them invasive and have so many bodies in a little area. Um, the yellow crazy ants have cytopore for defense, so their pinchers are too small, they're downsized. They don't have a stinger, so they have this little pod underneath their stomach that if something comes to attack them or if they want to attack something, it sprays a little bit of acid on them, and it's not like deadly acid. It just kind of like poor smell, and it kind of just throws the animal off a little bit. So they do eat. They are omnivores, so they will eat like fruits and some seeds and stuff. But then they can, when they work together in little groups, they can trap small animals like this little lizard on the right of the screen. Um, people have seen them take down small birds, frogs, things like that. So they're not afraid as long as they're in a pack. But when they're by themselves, it's mainly just seeds and fruits. These ants, they only live up to 76 to 84 days, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when there's thousands and thousands and they're constantly reproducing, it's quite a lot. Because it'd be different if they would die off in 5 days, but this is quite a few days. So, yeah, they're invasive because just of how many they are. So, who are they harming? They are affecting the lives of the native flying fox, which is a bat. Um, these ants colonize in trees where the bats roost. So, like these bats are in the picture below, they're hanging from a limb on a tree. And these ants actually have some of their colonies like either inside the tree or on one of the limbs of the trees. So this is affecting where the bats will land. So it's changing the way these bats live their lives. They're struggling to find ways or in places of where they can rest and roost on these trees. So I have some data that shows the ants that are, how they're affecting these bat lives. I found someone did research from a university, and it was actually pretty neat. Oh, and up here at the top right corner is the yellow ant. So here's some of the research. It shows that on the picture on the left, it shows that the number of the ants and then the proportion of behavior. So the bat's resting behavior decreases when there's more ants and vice versa. So it shows that these ants really are having an effect on the bats and what they do. And then so they went further in the study showing like, is it just one tree? Is it all the trees? And they looked up all the trees that were on this island, and here they are to the right. I'm not naming them all. There's so many. And as you can see, the light gray is where all the ants like to colonize on certain trees. And you can tell that those flying foxes, which are the bats, they don't like to hang out really where there's lots of populations of ants. And so they don't have a lot of choices of where to go. So so the ant is really taking over the lifestyle of this bat, and it happens to be that this bat is the only native mammal left on Christmas Island, which is pretty crazy. After reading the article a little bit in further depth, these researchers think that these ants, the way they're colonizing on the limbs and causing the bats to locate somewhere else, is causing them to not reproduce as much, because they believe the roosting of the bats on the limbs is how they interact with each other. And so this is affecting how many are being reproduced every year. And there really is there's nothing that we're really doing about it either. I don't know how you can control thousands and thousands and thousands of ants when they could be moving wherever and hopping on cruise ships. And that's the thing with these invasive species. They're just difficult to stop because they can reproduce so much, and there's so many of them. And I thought it was just very interesting that an ant played, something as small as an ant played such a big role in infecting part of the environment and the way other animals live. I mean, when I think of invasive species, I mainly think about, Asian carp and things in the water, zebra mussels and gobies and stuff like that. That's what I think about. And this article really caught my attention of these crazy yellow ants. And I think that's it. And I hope you enjoy this.